refer to anybody as damaged goods because of their personal circumstances, to me, is unfathomable. How can you take a nice person, could be you, could be her, could be her, and they have a small child and no father, and how can you put that label of damaged goods on them? That's moronic.
Hello, I'm Shay, and although many of you have been waiting for another video of the beauty of nature in the Philippines, I have felt the need to discuss a topic that has been the focus of a few past interviews that I did with other vloggers. Although by nature I am a relatively private person who would prefer to just produce videos about nature and my love of and for it, I realize that my current and potential viewers have questions for and about me that might lend themselves to a better understanding of life in the Philippines, the relationship between foreigners and Filipinos, and more specifically, life as a Filipina. According to Gallup, the percentage of single women in the US who have children is 19%, while in Southeast Asia, it is only 14%. So the US actually has more single women parents than any country in Asia, while Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest number of single woman households at 32%. The US and Canada ranks fourth at that 19%, while Southeast Asia ranks 6 out of 12 regions studied. So single moms are not just a phenomenon in the Philippines and other Asian countries, but they are a worldwide situation. And the single mom households are fewer in Southeast Asia than in North America.
For the benefit of the doubt, I would say they were hoping for a nice family life, husband, children. It's a beautiful life. But through no fault of their own, or maybe it's a fault of their own, I don't know. But somehow they ended up as a single parent.
Yet, for some reason, the stigma of the Filipina single mom is more discriminatory and reputation damaging than in the West. But statistics don't tell the story of what it means to be a single mom in rich countries versus poor countries. In the US, single moms often have governmental support in the form of healthcare and food stamps. Employment is at higher levels, education is available, and the stigma is not so dramatic. But here in the Philippines, the stigma is damaging from both the inside and outside of the country.
Most of the time, I think they're going to think that mom is going to be very needy. She's going to have a lot of wants, and you have to decide if you're going to want to support her and her child. And I think that's wrong. The first thing you have to do is you have to meet the girl. You have to make sure you like the girl if she has a child or not. And the misconception is a single mom is going to be costly, that she's just going to be a drain on your finances, and they're really not.
Single moms are first looked down upon by their own because the Philippines is a Catholic country and sex outside of marriage is officially forbidden.
And there's no formal birth control like we have in the States, a pill that you can take. The Catholic Church, that plays a big role into it, the religious part of it. So that's kind of a natural occurrence.
While in the West, extramarital sex is now commonplace regardless of religious beliefs. There is a residual effect to this kind of discrimination. Because motherhood outside of wedlock is looked down upon by the church and the government, it becomes more difficult for single moms in the Philippines to find good employment to support their children. Without good employment, single moms have a much more difficult time affording education as well. So many single moms who had their children young have a difficult time going to college, whereas in the West, there are many programs that will help to support single moms who seek to go to college. This kind of attitude can usually affect the self-esteem of the single mom, leaving them to feel degraded and, in many cases, ashamed.
I think the misconception that I used to get since I get pregnant at very young age is people will degrade you, or they call it underestimate here in the Philippines. Just because you get pregnant at very young age, they will say that you're less worth.
I've heard a lot of negative comments about me starting when the day I get pregnant. A lot of negative comments, and one of those comments is they said I don't have a good life, or they said that I will never be as successful because I have a kid, especially I don't have a partners, and my kid doesn't have a father as well.
This attitude also makes it more difficult for a single mom to find a partner who is willing to marry her when she is considered defective.
The man that I've dated, they just ran away and they ghosted me because of they think that I have a kid, and it's an obligation that they have to look after.
I could feel like I don't have any confidence at all to wake up in the morning because of what happens to me, but I'm wrong. I'm totally wrong, because my baby inspired me to do these things, and it's very important for me to give my baby a better life, which I don't have. So I have to work. I have to stand by myself, because my mother is a single mom, so I have to stand by myself. And I am very happy also because I'm being a single mom. I mean, I'm not happy for being a single mom, but because the father of my son is like a responsible person. And I don't want to be with a man that doesn't have the will to help, or doesn't have the will to care, or standing as a good father. So I would rather be a single mom than being a man which is a responsible person.
I think that's all under the umbrella of judging people by outward appearances. That's not a good way to live and to judge people, because you just don't know. Now that I've been living in the Philippines, I understand more, the background and where people are coming from. I really do.
Filipino parents often contribute to this dilemma, as they do not teach their children about sex, and they are often very strict, which compels the child to become rebellious to the point of exploration, without these children understanding the ramifications of their actions.
People will say that you can't, just because you get pregnant, that's it, that's your life, you have a baby and that's it, you can't do anything. But things that they don't know, that you have the power.
I don't think there's necessarily a stigma attached to it. It depends on the man, it depends on the individual. I can tell you stories of guys that I've personally encountered that were in love with the idea of having a woman with children. I have one personal friend, his son passed away, unfortunately. I don't know why. I think it had to do with drugs. And he wanted to meet a woman that had a child, and so that he could raise it and love it, and he's got that fatherly instinct.
This happened to me as my parents were so strict that I ended up running away at the age of 17. When I met my first lover at 19, I was curious but completely innocent and uneducated. This resulted in my first pregnancy. I struggled with this at the beginning when I gave birth to my first beautiful daughter. I felt lost, inferior, unwanted, especially by my foreign boyfriend who abandoned us. I felt that I was being judged as a promiscuous woman who couldn't control her urges and is what some call damaged goods.
she's a promiscuous girl, or she's an easy girl, or this or that or the other. And one of the things that I always say to myself is when I see somebody and I start to judge them, which we all are judgmental, and I think, well, I don't know the background on this. I don't know the circumstances behind that. I think that a certain percentage of men will put a stigma on it, but that's because of their character flaw.
But this is the opposite for boys, who are most often congratulated for their conquests. And like me, having 2 relationships that ended in pregnancy, both men were able to abandon me and my daughters and move on with their lives. They refused to support their children, so I had to become both a mother and father to my babies. No one looked down on these 2 men, or the hundreds or thousands of other deadbeat dads around the world. We are considered the irresponsible ones for so-called getting ourselves into trouble, while men end up with no responsibilities. So at only 19, I had to force myself to become stronger so that I could feed and support my baby. She always came first, and since I came from a background of abject poverty, I was used to having nothing.
There's a small percentage of people that's what they look at life as. They look at it the negative. There's an inadequacy or something missing in their life, and so they lash out and they berate and they belittle and they demean other people because they don't feel good about themselves.
Am I afraid to be with someone again since I've been a single mom? Yes. In the first place, I even think that I would never be with somebody else because maybe they will do the same thing with me. I thought I would never be with someone else again because of what happened to me.
We have our love to give, to offer to a man that will really value us.
But in truth, single moms are not defective. In fact, they are usually harder working and certainly more responsible than the father who abandoned her and their child. And so to this day, like so many other Filipina single moms, I have had to be both mother and father to my children. We single mothers, parents, are the responsible ones. But I ask the question, who are the scammers? The Filipina who ends up a single parent because the biological father runs away? Or the man who is with the Filipina, has his fling, then leaves his problems behind and simply abandons them?
I do think that it puts the woman under a lot of pressure. I think that she might be enticed to possibly make some uninformed or impulsive decisions to try to help her own situation. And so if I was to speak to the Filipinas right now that are single moms, I would say, but I tell everybody else, slow down, get to know the guy, realize what kind of character he has, and remember that you have a child. And so if he's not respectful to you, he's not going to be respectful to the child. And who's the priority here? It's the child.
Yet I do not want to end this video on a negative note. I want to say that my 2 children are my greatest accomplishments. Nothing will ever compare. I raised and supported them by myself. I am proud of them both, and we are a strong family. We do not live in luxury, but we do not live in poverty either. We live simply and are comfortable, have cupboards, a refrigerator, air conditioning, a TV set, even a scooter. All things I never had growing up. We have plenty of food and we enjoy nature and each other. And often we work together to do good in our community, like in my last videos where we clean the Dumaguete boardwalk and beach.
Your internal happiness is more important, the happiness of your spouse. So if it's a bad relationship, find a good way to end it. Find something that works for both of you and go on with your life.
And I said that we don't choose this. It's just that it happens that we find a partner that is not willing to stand for us, that is not willing to have a family. And we don't want to deal with a lazy man. We don't want to deal with a drug addict kind of partner. partner. So that's why we have to, work for ourselves, and we end up into having a baby, and the father is going to abandon us.
It is what it is, and it's life. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. You have just to get up and face another day of your life. Just ignore negative in the world, because everywhere you go there are negatives. Even when you do something better, you do something good, but they really find your negativity. So just ignore them and don't care about their words. Just focus on your goal, focus on your life, and focus on your families. What do you think it's best? Just go for it.
Make sure he fills all your requirements for a happy life. Does he enjoy what you enjoy? Is he going to give you what you need? Look for a man with a good heart. And if he has a good heart, how he treats the waiters, how he treats the truck driver, how he treats neighbors or somebody that's maybe inconveniencing him a little bit, keep an eye on that, because a good man is good all the time.
Everything in your life is the reflection of your choices that you made. And if you want different result, choose a different choices.
We single mothers are not damaged goods, and we should be proud of what we've accomplished. And as a proud single mom for 18 years, I now found my path in life to create videos about nature and communities, works of art. But I am now happy to have a partner with whom I can collaborate in a visceral, intellectual, and natural way. And while making artistic videos about nature and landscapes, or travel destinations, be they cities or towns, we both want to be socially conscious and engaged. I am not always comfortable with being in the public eye, but as I've said, I do want to push my own boundaries and limitations, but I also want to continue to explore the natural world as my children grow into wonderful women and human beings who will contribute much to their community and someday to their own families. And so, for them, I want to bring to light the issues that I and we live through and with, be it in nature or in a more social context. This is what a 4'11" single mother who came from harsh beginnings wishes for most of all, that everyone who watches her artistic videos feels a little more informed, inspired, curious, and content. And I thank you all sincerely and gratefully for being such a huge part of my journey.
Slow down, get to know the guy, realize what kind of character he has, and remember that you have a child. And so if he's not respectful to you, he's not going to be respectful to the child.
We all have choices to make in life, and those choices often reflect our mindsets. We can choose to smile or frown. I would like to think that all human beings have the capacity to smile and bring joy to others. Life is more than struggle and turmoil. It can be gracious, magnificent, and even benevolent. I want my channel to bring these traits to my viewers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all.